everyone, and welcome to Lipstick on a Rig. Today we're going to be making this insanely simple, colorful beanie. For this project, I'm going to be using size 4 medium weight acrylic yarn, and I'm just going to be using a ton of leftover yarn from previous projects. And so these are all going to be the Big Twist Value brand. I'm also going to be using a size F or 5 crochet hook. We're going to begin this project with a magic circle, and in it we're going to place 12 double crochets. And if you're unfamiliar with any of the stitches used in this pattern, then please check the links in the description because I will have my stitch tutorials listed down there for you. And once you've placed your 12 double crochets inside your magic circle, we're going to add one more double crochet and we're going to change colors in the middle of that stitch. So go ahead and yarn over, and then we're going to insert our crochet hook in the magic circle and yarn over and pull through. Then we're going to yarn over and drop 2 loops just like normal, but when it comes to this very last yarn over, we're going to do that with our next color. And so from here, we're not going to place our slip stitch in that first double crochet, but instead we're going to place it in the second one right here. And from here, we're going to chain 3. And so we're going to start to place our crisscross stitches. So to place your first crisscross, what we're going to do is place a double crochet in the stitch directly behind our chain 3 stitch here. And that's our very first crisscross. So from here, we're going to place a double crochet in the next stitch that we have not worked in, so right here. And then we're going to place a double crochet in the stitch directly behind that, and so this is going to be a stitch that we have already worked in. And that's how you place an increasing crisscross stitch. So go ahead and place increasing crisscross stitches going all the way around your row. And when you get done, you should have a total of 12 crisscross stitches or 24 double crochets. And when it comes to placing your very last crisscross stitch, you're going to be placing it in these 2 stitches where you've already worked. So this first stitch is going to be your second part of your first crisscross stitch, and then this other stitch is going to be the same stitch that you just worked in for your last crisscross stitch. So go ahead and place your first double crochet right here like you normally would. And in the middle of our second double crochet, which is going to be in that stitch directly behind that, we're going to switch colors halfway, the same way that we did before. So when it comes to our last yarn over, we're just going to grab our next color. And from here, we're going to slip stitch into the top of our chain 3 stitch, and then we're going to chain 3 again. And for this row, the pattern is going to be to place 1 regular crisscross stitch and then 2 increasing crisscross stitches. So to place your first regular crisscross stitch, go ahead and place a double crochet in the stitch directly behind your chain 3. And then go ahead and place your 2 increasing crisscross stitches just like we did in the previous row. And once you have your 2 increasing crisscross stitches, then we're going to place a regular crisscross stitch. So rather than placing our double crochet in this next stitch, we're going to place it in the next stitch here. So you're going to skip 1 stitch that you haven't already worked in. And then you're going to go back to that skipped stitch and place a double crochet. And that's how you place your regular crisscross stitch. So from here, we're just going to repeat that pattern going all the way around our row of placing 2 increasing crisscross stitches and then a regular crisscross stitch. And when you get to the end of your row, you should have a total of 18 crisscross stitches or 36 double crochets. And again, when it comes to placing your last crisscross stitch, we're going to switch colors in the middle of that second double crochet. And from here, just like before, we're going to place our slip stitch in the top of that chain 3 stitch, and then we're going to chain 3 again. We're going to start this row off with a regular crisscross stitch, so go ahead and place a double crochet in the stitch behind your chain 3. And basically we're just going to alternate between placing a regular crisscross stitch and an increasing crisscross stitch. We're just going to do that for the entire row. So when you get to the end of your row, you should have a total of 48 double crochet stitches or 24 crisscross stitches. And just like before, you're going to place your last crisscross stitch, and in the middle of that stitch, you're going to switch colors. And then again, we're just going to slip stitch into the top of our chain 3 and then chain 3 again. And we're going to place a double crochet in the stitch behind our chain 3. And so the pattern for this row is going to be to place 3 regular crisscross stitches, and then you're going to place 2 increasing crisscross stitches. And you're going to repeat that going all the way around your row, and when you get done, you should have a total of 30 crisscross stitches or 60 double crochets. And again, when it comes to your very last crisscross stitch, you're going to switch colors in the middle of placing it. And just like all the other rows, we're just going to place our slip stitch in the top of our chain 3, and then we're going to chain 3 again. And that was our last row of increasing. So for this row, we're just going to be placing regular crisscross stitches going all the way around the row. So at the end of this row, in each subsequent row, you should have a total of 30 crisscross stitches or 60 double crochets. So go ahead and repeat that to build the body of your beanie. And I went ahead and followed that pattern of placing regular crisscross stitches going all the way around my row for 15 rows. And so you can make this as long or as short as you want, depending on how slouchy you want it to be. This is going to be slightly slouchy. And if you want it to be a little bit less slouchy, I would suggest 13 or 14 rows. And so from here, I'm not going to switch colors or anything. I'm just going to place my slip stitch in the top of my chain 3 stitch, and then I'm going to cut and tie off my yarn. And then I'm going to weave my tail up the inside of my beanie. And this part isn't necessary, but I like to tie my tails that are close to each other together and then cut them quite short. And I like to save all of my tails to use as stitch markers or stuffing. And in the description, I will link to my DIY pom-pom maker. Please let me know in the comments below if you experienced any issues while you were making this, and I will do my best to help you out. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel, Lipstick on a Rig. Thank you so much for working with me, and I hope you have a wonderful, awesome day.